So this is a quick way to graph it. So you start using the point with coordinate 1, 0, 1 and 2 pi 1, and then you have to use the intersection with the x-axis, which are pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. The minimum is at pi when y equals -1. That's the graph of your cosine. Remember, cosine 0 is 1. That's why we get this point 0, 1. Also, cosine 2 pi equals 1. That's why we get second point at the end of the period. Okay, and then at 3 pi over 2 and pi over 2, the cosine is 0. So this is the intersection with the x-axis, and the minimum is -1 when x equals pi. The angle is pi. Cosine pi equals -1. If you use the degrees, you get the same graph. The only difference, 2 pi with using degrees is 360 degrees, and the pi is 180 degrees. Pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2 are 90 degrees and 270 degrees, but the graph still the same graph. Now to graph your sine function, make sure you take these coordinates for the x up to 2 pi, then half of it is pi, and the quarter of it is pi over 2, sorry, and 3/4 is 3 pi over 2. These are the main coordinates for x. Okay, you start from make sure that your y is between 1 and -1. That's the fact, the range of sine. Start from 0, 0 up to 1 when x equals pi over 2, then down to 0 at pi, and then you carry the curve until 2 pi. Okay, make sure you remember the main values for your sine. For example, at pi, the sine is 0, sine pi is 0. That's why we have the intersection with the x-axis. At pi over 2, the sine is 1. Okay, that's why we have this maximum at 1 for the sine. And -1 at 3 pi over 2. That's why we get this minimum at 3 pi over 2, -1. Also at 2 pi, the sine is 0. Okay, so sine 2 pi equals 0. That's why we have this intersection. You can get the same graph using the degrees. So 2 pi in degrees, you use 360 degrees, and that's your period actually for the sine. And then pi is half 360 degrees, which is 180 degrees. Okay, and pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2 are 90 and 270. Okay.